He's also called me racial slurs in the past, which I wouldn't repeat here. What the hell? What? Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be reading stories from Reddit that are relationship oriented. So the first story isn't necessarily under r/relationships, but it is relationship oriented. So let's jump right into it. This first story is from Inevitable Dig 3565, titled, "My girlfriend wants me to have relations with her deaf friend." I'll try and keep this semi-short. My 21 male girlfriend, female 18, wants me to have relations with her deaf friend. Me and my girlfriend have been together around 6 months. We met in college. We instantly hit it off. We have a lot in common. She's very sweet, very caring. She's filled a void in my life, and I absolutely love that about her. But things are starting to change, and I'm extremely confused. My girlfriend has a deaf friend who also goes to the same college. I don't have any classes with this girl, and I'll only see her occasionally. I've met her a few times, but I've never been properly introduced to her. She's relatively nice, but she's deaf, so communication is quite difficult since I don't know ASL. 4 days ago, my girlfriend came home from college. Our day lengths vary, so usually I end up getting home a few hours earlier. I had made her some homemade spaghetti and garlic bread. We soon started eating. I asked her how her day went, and she said it was fine, but she seemed off. Her face was red, her hands were slightly trembling, so I asked her, "Is something wrong?" She shook her head and said she wants me to do something, but she's worried I won't understand. I told her I'll try my best to understand. That's when she said something along the lines of, deaf friend, she's never had relations before. I was wondering if you maybe could do something together. I have no problems with it. I set my fork down and felt the food get stuck in my throat. I choked a little before saying, "What?" My girlfriend continued to explain that her deaf friend was attractive and her disability made it really hard for guys to get into her. She said since she knew me and liked me as a friend, it was the least I could do to help her out. I stood up, walked to the bathroom without saying anything. I was in shock. Later, I came out and told my girlfriend that what she asked me to do made me extremely uncomfortable. I told her that she was my girlfriend and that having sex with anyone else, regardless of the reason, didn't sit right with me. I told her I didn't want to break the foundation of our relationship over a girl I barely know. My girlfriend told me she has no problems with me doing this and that she would do the same if she was in a similar situation. That comment made me even more uncomfortable about the state of our relationship. I'm disgusted and upset, and I'm genuinely worried that I can't continue this relationship anymore. So before I read the comments, I'm gonna say my opinion first. Leave, bro, leave. That is so weird. That is so weird. That is so weird. Girl, you do not need to be that concerned with somebody's intimate life. You do not. That is her business. And if she's fine, guess what? She will find someone. She don't need your help. Oh my goodness. And that sounds like the most immature college thing that somebody would do too. I don't see anybody who is mature in their adult life doing something as dumb as that, making that stupid suggestion. Why would you? Why? My head is going what if the girlfriend likes her, right? One part of me is what if? And then the other part is, what if she cheated on him and wants him to do that so that they're even? And she made up a reason that's similar to her friend here. That is so weird. Leave, bro. It's only been 6 months. Not much past time has passed. So I if I was you, yeah. Bye, Jessica. Bye, goodbye. Now for the comments. First comment from Briance. I didn't even have to read the whole thing. Nope, don't do it. Sounds like bad news. A reply to this comment from Halshoku Armor. She's pimping him out. Another comment by Sen Fix. Offering you up as some sort of sex object to her friend is demeaning to you and her friend. First, she isn't a pimp, and I wouldn't be happy if someone did that to me. There's nothing inherently wrong with sex work, but don't volunteer other people. That's just weird. Second, her friend deserves to have her first encounter to be with someone who is excited to be with her and legitimately wants to be with her. This is weird pity sex. To get it over with is not healthy. Third, why is your girlfriend so okay with you having sex with someone else? Has she always been interested in an open or poly relationship? Is it only open for this one girl? Only open for you? Or both? What's going on through her head? Another comment by Cost Zesty Close 2494. Ignoring all the other glaring issues, do you think the friend would be happy to know that you're pity smashing her? Like, if I had a friend who said, oh, such and such has a disability, so she can't get laid, will you go down on her so she finally is not a virgin? I would be immeasurably pissed. Yeah, guys, that's so fucking insulting. Anyway, we gonna move on to the next story. This next story is another relationship-oriented story. It's under the r/unpopular opinion subreddit, and the title of this one is Married People Splitting Their Finances is Foolish and Asking for Trouble. So I'm going to read this one and talk about my thoughts about it. And I want y'all guys to put your input into this one because I thought this was really interesting. And the particular account that posted this particular statement is Greenish Stones. So I'm going to read it now. I've never understood why married couples do this. It's not helpful. It creates separation that leads to jealousy and ridiculous debates about money. Money should be lumped together, and then the decision on how it's spent should be made together as a loving couple. I feel like keeping them separate only proves that you don't trust each other and are waiting for the divorce to inevitably happen. So, in my opinion, right, this particular commenter seems like the type of person who says, oh, well, if you're getting a prenup, you're just bound to divorce. Even though a prenup doesn't mean that. It just keeps your finances in check. We live in a time now where, financial security is hard. It's hard to hit that level now. With, how everything's going with inflation and the job market. How hard it is to get a job nowadays. Back in the day, in our parents' day, in the 80s and 90s, you could just walk in somewhere and be like, hey, let me work for you. You can work there for 30 years and then you get a pension. You don't get that no more. No, you don't get that. No, you're very lucky if you get that. But in my opinion, right, I think it's good to have that. So you have a little bit of control over where your money is going. Especially if you end up marrying someone who sucks with their money. That could just be on them, and they could fuck up their money, and they don't have to ruin yours. That's where my head goes with it. And then you could also have like a household fund too. You can have several accounts within banking. And I think the trust comes where, okay, well, you can look at my statements whenever you want to. You have the permission to do that, right? You let them look at your statements. That's where the trust comes in, you know? Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you wouldn't need to look at statements if you trusted your partner. It could be like twofold. You wouldn't need to if you trusted your partner, or if you were trying to see where their money was going and they were spending their money on really stupid stuff and kind of, ruin it for themselves. Then, but I think financially, it's not a terrible decision. Because at the end of the day, you can't work forever and you're going to have to retire at some point. So unless one of y'all has a life insurance policy which covers the other person, then it would be better to have your own finances situated. Because I feel like a lot of people don't take that into account. But anyway, let's get into some of these comments. The first comment is from Subspace Ansible. Why not both? Have a household account into which both contribute, and also have a separate private accounts for your personal spending. That new gaming system you've always wanted, perhaps, or a new dress that just speaks to you. Another comment from Winston is a puppy. Whenever I think about a perfect marriage, I think about my parents. They were married for over 40 years and madly in love until the day my mom passed last year. I don't think it would matter if they had separate accounts or shared accounts because they were always a team. Sometimes my dad made more, sometimes my mom made more, but they always saw themselves as a couple who'd make their decisions together. If they disagreed, they'd talk it out. So I don't think it matters where the money sits. I don't think that couples who choose their money separate are necessarily less committed or preparing for a divorce. If you're committed to the relationship and acting as a true team, it just doesn't matter. Another comment from Cartez Dez. Money does nothing but amplify what's already present. If there's jealousy on the individuals within the relationship, keeping them separate proves nothing. If you trust someone or not, it's your choice. Yeah, so let me know y'all guys' thoughts on this story. But the comment where they were talking about, as long as you're making decisions together, because that's what a marriage is. It's supposed to be, a partnership. You're supposed to be doing these things together. So that was a good point. But let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments. On to the next story. Our next story is not about a romantic story, but about the relationship between a mother and a daughter. Under r/relationship advice from the account ThrowRage7257. The title is My Female 36 Biological Daughter, Female 18, is pregnant, and she wrote me a very honest letter after cutting communication. Not sure how to respond. I got pregnant at 17 during my senior year of high school and hid my pregnancy until I was 6 months pregnant. The only person I told was my father, who was my... What? Oh. I read that so wrong. Oh my gosh. Whoa. The only person I told was the father, who was my boyfriend at the time. My parents eventually found out, and I ultimately decided to place her up for adoption. She was adopted at birth, and I hadn't seen her until I was 15 years old. Things were rough post-birth. I was dealing with all the postpartum symptoms without the actual baby in my presence, and started college 3 weeks later like I didn't just have a whole baby. I want to make a quick note about her adoptive parents because it's important. I never properly met them prior to giving birth, but the second they did come to the hospital, I knew that it was a mistake for them to be adoptive parents, but there was literally nothing I could do about it. And I was right about them because she does not speak to them and even moved out when she was 16. I did make a comment to her about what I felt and when I handed them to her, and that sparked a deep emotional response from her. Ever since then, things went downhill, which is what she has now told me. She found me over 3 years ago. We were really close, and then she became so distant as time went by to the point she no longer talked to me when the new year hit. I didn't know what I did. I even wrote her a few messages, to which I've gotten no response to. I haven't seen her since November, and I found out she was pregnant earlier this month through my ex's / bio father's socials because he posted her gender reveal. I finally got some form of communication from her, which were a few letters by mail. There were 3 letters in total, and a few pictures in the letters. She told me she was pregnant. The reason she pulled away was because of the resentment she harbors towards her upbringing, which has not gone away, but she's currently working on it. She acknowledges that although she understands that I was very young, she still resents the fact that she was placed with her adoptive parents, despite me admitting that I knew it was not a good decision. The letters were very raw and honest, and it honestly was tough to read it, but I did finish all 3 and looked at all the pictures. I guess I'm posting here because, for one, I have no one else to speak to about this, and 2, I want to know how to respond. If I'm coming off as unemotional and distant, please know that it's the complete opposite. I've had some time to think over this and sort of process what I've read. I'm going to send the letter back because there were obvious reasons she decided not to text / call me about this. But what do I say? What do I send back? What do I include? What do I leave out? So, in my opinion, you were really young. You were a teenager. You had a kid. You say you didn't really have a choice with who the baby goes to. So I don't really know how the adoptive process goes. I know that the common feeling of adoptive children is feeling like, their self-worth isn't as high. Like, damn, you didn't want me or anything. And it seems like her adoptive parents really sucked. And I guess from her perspective, it's like, you put me here in this terrible position, and you knew that they didn't seem like they were great, but you still gave me to them anyway. But at the same time, if you really didn't have a choice, then maybe in the letter, it's like, well, you let her know I didn't have a choice. I couldn't choose the parents. They came up there and they were willing to adopt you. I mean, that's all I could really say about that. So let's get into these comments. Let's get some more perspective. The first comment from Effing Sleepless: tell her to take the time she needs, and you'll always be around if she wants a relationship again. Don't try to explain yourself or make excuses. She needs space to process everything. Another comment from Queen Anamakaris: gosh, I sympathize with both of you. A tough situation all around. She's giving you a door here, keeping the line open, and that's positive. I think she could maybe have more sympathy for the fact that your hands were tied by the law. There was nothing you could do to stop the process, right? What are points of reply you want to communicate with her? And the OP responds back saying, I see that there is a door, but I just have no idea how to approach it. I want to follow her lead, but in one sentence, she described wanting a relationship with me, and then in another, she described wanting to remain distant. I could have stopped at that time. There was a time period, I forgot how long it was, that you could revoke consent. In that moment, I chose not to because I had no plan. I was going to an out-of-state college Not even a month later, I didn't know what I was going to do with a literal baby, and I'd convinced myself that maybe it was the hormones that made me feel so off about them. I went to reply to how she was feeling, but what does she want for us in the future? Is there anything that I can do to better the situation? I think that there's the best way to go. I don't want it to come across as me. I do have questions about some of the things she wrote, but it's probably not appropriate to ask those things right now. Another comment from Logical Wasabi 7402. I am always willing to keep in touch with you at whatever level makes you feel most comfortable. If you want to discuss the issues around your adoption more, I think it's something we should do in person, but only when you feel ready to see me again. Then you tell her that you're not angry, you're glad that she trusts you enough to be honest with you. Then you tell her that you're proud of her, and you look forward to seeing the type of person she becomes. Another comment from NoGo56. I think it's far too many young moms who are heavily pushed into adoption as if it's all roses and butterflies, only to find out that losing your baby is the emotional equivalent of having all your limbs cut off. I don't know anyone who didn't regret it. I'm sure some people may have had a lonely experience, but a huge percentage of moms go through hell. I see so many family influencers on Instagram posting photos of their adopted babies making millions of dollars off of them, and I genuinely can't imagine how the birth moms must feel. I would maybe write a letter back explaining all the pain and anguish you felt and how you always have wanted to love her. Let her know that you regretted the decision too. You were both victims here and were both taken advantage of by the system. Your pain must have been immense. Explain that to her. She might take the time to explain, but at least she'll know your feelings. So my final thoughts on this one. Yeah, so she didn't really have a choice. There were a few different comments here that recommended some better things to say. And just be patient. You have to be patient. You can't be pushy. Don't call her. Send a letter back. A lot of people like to make it seem like the system for children, whether that be foster care or adoptions, are nice. They're not that great. I feel like the older generation makes it seem like, oh, just send them there, it's fine, they're gonna be great, they're gonna have such a great life. But you hear about a lot of foster kids, and I know she's not a foster child, but it's similar in my head. In my head, these situations are similar. Because, eventually that child could get adopted. There's some really, terrible parents who somehow get the go-ahead to adopt a child or foster a child. And I feel like we should be more honest about that. Because the system in America sucks. It sucks. The amount of children who get taken advantage of is insane. It's terribly sad. I don't know what happened with your daughter in her life, but just give her some time. Be patient, and hopefully she'll come back around and y'all can talk about it together. Our next story is another story under r/relationship advice from user important ad 1579. My boyfriend, 30 male, hasn't visited my 28 female house in over a year. Is this something to be worried about? Firstly, I adore my boyfriend. He's handsome, smart, and funny. However, it's been over a year since he's visited my house. He often goes on long trips abroad and doesn't specify when he'll come back. I tried bringing it up with him, but he changes the subject and imitates my accent when I get frustrated. He's also called me racial slurs in the past, which I wouldn't repeat here. What the hell? What? Oh my gosh. I find these trips abroad somewhat suspicious. So I'm turning to Reddit for advice. He lives with his parents and claims to own a home, but I've never seen it. For context, we've been dating for 18 months. He also can't keep a stable job, so I'm somewhat confused as to how he can afford these lavish trips abroad. It sounds trivial, but the straw that broke the camel's back was last weekend, when he asked me to order a personalized card for his brother's wedding. He wrote the card and only signed on his behalf, despite me organizing and paying for the card. I can't tell if I'm being unreasonable or should genuinely be suspicious. Reddit, I need your help. Is there something to be upset over? Babes, leave him. Dump him. Leave him. Leave. He called you slurs. And you stayed with him? Girl, why are you staying with him? Why? What is he offering that is so great? Is it just because he's hot? Girl, don't. Leave, girl. Leave. Please. Help yourself. That is so suspicious. You ain't never seen his house? And y'all been dating for... It seems like y'all been dating over a year. You said 18 months? Girl. And y'all aren't even long distance. I don't know. The way he's treating you, it seems like you're the side chick or something. That's what it seemed like to me. That's terrible. Leave him, please. Story's making me mad. Now for the comments. First comment from Nige78. Have you considered upgrading to a better boyfriend? A response to that from Case Ecstasy. I stopped reading when she said her boyfriend called her slurs that she won't repeat. I don't know or care what she deals with, him not visiting her, but if these words are so nasty she won't repeat them to strangers on Reddit, she has no business tolerating the shit from her so-called boyfriend. Another comment from Stony Owl. If he doesn't visit your house and lives with his parents, where do you meet him? He sounds really shady. And he called you racial slurs? He isn't the prize you think he is. A response from this, from Runner Tenor. And he's 30? And he can't keep a job? And he calls her slurs? Like, girl, why are you staying? Why are you staying? Are you just lonely? Make some friends or something. Y'all can't be staying in relationships like this. It's not worth it. It's good to be single, guys. It's good to be single. Trust and believe. If your significant other is calling you fucking slurs, you won't even say them on Reddit. You won't even say them. Leave. Please leave. Another comment from Lady Salamander. It doesn't sound like he's actually your boyfriend. Another comment from South Coastal. He sounds married. Another comment from Equivalent One, 54.99. This cannot be real. Putting aside all the other red flags in this post, someone who calls you racial slurs multiple times, and you adore them. Genuine question. Do you like yourself at all? Because I cannot understand why you would tolerate this level of disrespect, and the sad reality is that now that you've demonstrated you will accept being mistreated, he will continue to mistreat you. To answer the question, yes, he not visiting your house is something to worry about, but there are many other things in your relationship that are more worrisome, to be honest. So in conclusion, please dump him and block him. Delete all the pictures that you had with him. Delete all the messages. Delete his contact. Delete his number. So you don't remember it and so you can't contact him anymore. That is so terrible. That's so terrible. Guys. Lesson today. It's okay to be single. It's okay. Being single is great. And being in a relationship can be great. But if you're just in a relationship to just be in it, and there's no benefit like this, it's okay to be single. You could be by yourself. It's fine. It can be really great. You can make it really great. Especially if you have friends who are nice to you. You deserve greatness, okay? You deserve greatness. And that's all I'm going to say on that. You deserve greatness. Don't date nobody who does that to you. Don't. Just don't. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It don't matter how long y'all been together. Leave. It's fine. That is the last story for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Tay. I'm a digital artist. And thanks for watching my video. Make sure to let me know your comments on each of these stories. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.